weirder video because I'm using my iPad. The camera's over here on this side instead of me looking straight forward. So I tried to use my laptop and I was getting a lot of feedback from the microphone and I don't know why. And I tried fixing the settings and it was just a half hour playing around with it. I'm like, I'm wasting time. I just really want to make a video because I did my hair and makeup and I don't want to waste this. And then my camera batteries were all dead and I was like, really? And I'm charging them right now. And then in a week when I try to make another video, they're going to all be dead again. I probably have to buy new batteries because they don't hold a charge. And like I'll use one for like a half an hour and then it's dead. And they used to last a lot longer, like 2 hours. But anyway, so with Patrick's update on, was it February 6th, he got the last drain pulled out. He didn't faint. He did get a little clammy and he didn't feel all that great, but he didn't faint or anything. It just kind of hurt because there's a hole in his side, and the doctor that removed it though cut the whole thing before removing it, and she said when you do that it just relieves the pressure, so when you pull it out it doesn't hurt as much. And she said that one on his hip was going to be the more painful. The one on his back shouldn't have been as painful as the one on his hip. But the woman who had removed, the doctor I should say, that removed the one on his back, she didn't know to cut it. She just pulled it out real quick and that made him faint from the pain. The vessel, was it Vegas? It sounded like Vegas, Vega nerve, something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but that got him and that's how he fainted the first time. So this time the doctor knew about that and she was there the other time. She wasn't in that day. And so that removal went a lot smoother, and he had pain for about a week in that area, but that's because the nerve was affected because of where it was located, and it was just causing like numbness on his side. But now he doesn't even talk about it. He's still complaining about his stomach because I put the little video in, or the image last time, I'll do it again, of where the scar is. So most of the pain is from the belly button below, and he's actually a little bloated right there. Because if you look at him from the side, his stomach is really flat, and then it's like under his belly button, it's got a little bump, and he never had that before. And the doctor was like, that's pretty common because you're still a little swollen and sometimes fluid builds up there. And since he had the drain removed, when he had a CT and MRI done before they did the infusion, they saw that he still had a little buildup of fluid, and they're not worried about it. Wasn't too much. And the doctor was like, yeah, that happens because he doesn't have the drain anymore. But they were at the point where they're like, nothing's coming out of the drain, and they didn't want to put a drain in another place. So they were just comfortable taking it out. And that went really well. And then the following week, on the 12th, he had his first immunotherapy appointment, and I went with him because we didn't know how he was going to handle it. It's a very long appointment. And what they were telling us is he has to go through the steps that he was doing on that appointment every time. So it's going to be like a 4-hour appointment. So you go in and they do some blood work, and then the doctors come in after they get the labs back and they look at it and they ask some questions, see how you're feeling and everything. And then they send the prescription to the pharmacy, and then you go downstairs and you wait for the pharmacy to mix it because it's based on your height and weight. And then once that's mixed together, then the nurse can administer it. So when we got there, the nurse, oh, she was so sweet. Like, I've had a lot of really good nurses, but she was just the sweetest nurse. Like, I'm trying not to cry. She was just extra sweet. And I was like, wow, I've never had such a sweet nurse before. I mean, most of them are kind of, let's get down to business, and they're very focused, and that's fine because you're sick or whatever's going on, you just want them to help you. But she was like extra sweet on top of it. It was like, oh. So we got down there, and she explained that they have to mix the medication before she can give it. And she was like, you guys came at a perfect time because we're not too busy, so it should be fast. And we waited maybe 20 minutes for the medication. And she's like, sometimes people wait an hour because they're so busy. So that was really nice. And it was 2 different bags, and she was able to do them back to back, and they were a half hour each. So that was pretty fast once it got going. Patrick is doing better, and we've been doing a lot of stuff around the house. We have been going through all of the stuff downstairs in the formal living room, and he helped me with some of that. So the day that he had his first infusion, we packed the car with some stuff that was going to, it's not Goodwill, but it's something similar, and it's directly off of the road that we have to drive past it. It's like a big shopping center when we go to the hospital. So I was like, hey, we'll leave 10 minutes early, we'll stop by. I didn't even think we were there for 10 minutes. It was like maybe 5, because you just pull up and you just start taking your stuff in, and somebody comes out and helps you with it. And so that was really quick, and we had a couple boxes, but it was fairly fast to get it out of the car. And then we're off on our way. And then the next day after the infusion, Patrick was saying that he was a little tired, but he still helped me fill the car because we had all the stuff for Nicola. And we had his crib and a bunch of clothes and a bunch of toys that he's outgrown playing with. And he came with me, and we take it to a place called Bloom, and it's for the foster kids, and it's set up like a store, but it's free. So the parents can bring their kid, or if they have a baby, they just, they go in and they get whatever they need for the kids. Like if there's, like we took the crib, and they were really happy about that because they get babies all the time, and every baby needs a crib. And then whatever clothing, they have it set up so if the kid's with them, they can like pick it out and be like, oh, I like this shirt or whatever, and it's all free instead of being a shop where they have to pay for it. And my husband and I really like that. If there was more places like that, I would donate my stuff to those places instead of a store that's selling it for money that, it's like, is it really going to help anybody? Like Goodwill kind of helps people, but it's more of a company rather than this place where they're doing things for free for people. And we just prefer that. He drove down there because he was feeling okay, but I ended up driving all the way back because he was a little tired. And we ended up getting lunch on the way back as well, because it's like an hour and a half away. So it's quite a drive. It's not, 20 minutes down the road like the other place, but it's totally worth the drive. And once we did that, I have a couple boxes of some period piece clothing that I need to get rid of. And I've been actively trying to do that, but I haven't found a place that is willing to take it. The other items that I had a couple years ago, when I took them, these boxes were in the garage and I didn't see them. They were like piled behind other stuff. So we've gotten a lot of stuff out of the garage as well. And we found these recently. It's like, oh, there's more. And it's like that place that I originally went to a couple years ago. I emailed them, they asked for photos, and I sent them back, and they haven't responded. So I feel like that's a no. And I messaged somebody on YouTube who talks about period piece clothing. She makes clothing. She's like a clothing historian. And I'm like, hey, do you know anybody who wants this stuff? She hasn't got back to me either. So somebody mentioned like a community theater. I have to look up those. That's like if the woman from like Friday is my like limit. I think I messaged her about a week ago. So I was like, if she doesn't answer me by Friday, I'll look up some kind of community theater. Maybe they'll take it. But one of the pieces is my great aunt's wedding dress, and it's lace, and it's like a lace jacket, like kind of a high-low jacket. And it's so delicate. It's very stiff, but you can, because it's been in a box for years, but you can tell it's like really delicate. And I kind of feel like if it's not given to the right person who's going to care for it, it's just going to be ripped up or thrown away. And I don't know, it's vintage. So I kind of wanted to go to the right person, but it's only the jacket and then the petticoat. I don't know where the actual dress is. And that's really weird. And it's not in the box. My cousin, he's like, I don't know, because he never looked in his mom's wedding dress box either. And I don't think she realized part of her dress was missing. But she passed away in the early 90s. So she's not around to ask, and my uncle passed away in 2009, so he's not around to ask either. But it's like, it's just something I feel bad just throwing it away in the garbage. So that's kind of my last of the boxes that are downstairs, and then the rest of the living room is empty, and besides furniture that we actually have. So it's so nice to like walk in and just have an empty space that isn't full of junk that I need to get rid of. It's like, oh, And when you walk in, you don't see all that stuff anymore. That was really stressing me out. And I talked to my husband about that. And that's why he ended up finishing the flooring in the room that I'm in right now, because all of the stuff that had been in this room was downstairs, adding to the clutter that was there. And it was in front of the boxes, so I couldn't even reach it. And I think I talked about this before, I can't remember, but it was overwhelming me, and it was just really stressing me out to like walk in and just see junk all the time. So once he finished the flooring, I moved all my stuff up here, and I rearranged the room a little bit, but everything fits in here and it's pretty organized. And it's just so nice to have that open space downstairs. And we're going to be here for at least 2 years. Patrick is looking for a new job because he did get laid off in December. And he was like, if we have to move, we have to move. But because of the immunotherapy, he's on a trial, and it's 2 years minimum. It could go to 3, but they're like, it's at least 2 years. So he has to go every couple of weeks to do the immunotherapy. And we really don't want him, like, he can leave the trial at any time. That's one of the stipulations that they put in there. It's like, you're not obligated to stay on it, especially if you have side effects and you're feeling horrible and it's not working. They're not going to force you to continue. But, if we were to get a job and it's worth it to move, then we're going to have to move. But he's hoping that he can work remotely for at least 2 years. And then if they want him to move, he can. But, so it's like we have, it's like, are we going to do anything with that space in the next 2 years? Because we don't want to buy furniture and then we move and our house is smaller. We don't have a formal living room, or we just have a family room where we have all this furniture now for 2 places. It's like, we don't want to do that and kind of waste the money on nice furniture that we're not going to use. But I would like to have the formal living room with a nice couch and some chairs and stuff, and a place that we can have our neighbors over, and it's like an adult space without toys in it, because our family room, we hate the couches in our family room, but we're not going to replace them right now because our son is small and he bounces on them and he's got sticky hands. He's good about washing his hands, but he'll have like peanut butter on his hand and he won't think about it, and then he touches something and you're like, why is there peanut butter over here in like random place? So it's like, he's 3, going to be 4, so he's still a messy little kid. And we want to have a space that we're not like, oh my God, you can't go in there, you can't touch it. And we want him to be able to be a kid at the same time as like having a nice space for adults to sit in as well. So it's been like, kind of, are we going to do something? Are we not? And I'm looking for a job as well. I have an interview tomorrow. So I mentioned this on Facebook, but it was last week. I got an email from a company, and it was like, we saw your resume on Indeed and we think you're a fit for a company, blah, blah, blah. I was like, cool. And it was like, click on this link and talk to this person to get an interview. And I was like, okay. So I clicked on it, and it was a Microsoft Teams link, and I've never used that before. So I had to download the app, and I was chatting with him, and I thought it was going to be like a video interview, and it wasn't. It was just all chatting back and forth on text. And I was actually doing it in the living room, and I was like, Patrick, this is kind of weird. Like, don't you think this is weird? And I showed him, and he looked at the questions, and he was like, well, this seems pretty normal, like question wise. I don't think he understood that I meant, isn't it weird that it's just texting back and forth and it's not a real like video interview? And so we ended up going out because he wanted to buy some shirts. I downloaded the app on my phone, and so I could see, because he was like, oh, I'll get back to you in a half an hour. Well, it was like an hour later, and we left. And then while we were driving there, he got back to me, and he was like, I emailed you an offer letter, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. He's like, make sure you read it. And I'm like, okay. So I read the offer letter, and I realized it was a scam. I told him, I'm like, oh, I got the job. And he's like, oh, great. He high-fived me, and we parked, and we were walking around, and I was looking at the offer letter, and I was just like, this sounds weird. It was grammatically incorrect, and that was the thing that got me. I was reading it, and it's like, I had to fill in the words that it was missing. Like it said, we'll send check to reimburse you. And it it should say we will send you a check to reimburse you, not just send check. And there was some other things, just the way it was written was really weird. And basically what they wanted me to do was buy a MacBook Pro, an iPhone 15 Max Pro, and it did say smartphone and computer, but that was all in between all this. It talked about software, and then it, it said like, we want you to have this certain software, and then we need you to have a smartphone and a computer. I'm like, why would I need all of those things? Smartphones are iPhones, and a computer is a MacBook. So it's like, do I need a PC and an Android on top of the Mac ones? And it was just like, you purchase these things, we will install all the software, and then we'll reimburse you. And it's like, that's the scam right there, because you send them all that stuff, which is about $5,000 worth of items, and then they're not sending it back to you, and you're not getting reimbursed. So you're basically buying somebody an iPhone and a laptop, and it's like, the police aren't going to do anything because you sent it to them. So it's like, and Mac isn't going to be like, oh yeah, we'll reimburse you or whatever. I mean, they could track where those things go, but they're not going to help you. That's your stupidity for sending in those scammers that stuff. So I realized that, and I was like, man. And while we were walking around, I kept thinking about it more and more. I'm like, this has to be a scam. Also, they were going to pay me $95 an hour part-time. And I'm just like, that's really, and I was supposed to be not a contractor. I was supposed to be an actual employee with like medical benefits. Now, if it was a contract employee, I would understand that. But this offer letter specifically said I wasn't a contractor. So I was just like, there's no way they're spending that much money per hour and giving me benefits. And yeah, it was too good to be true. So that was kind of disappointing. So I just didn't message them back. I did contact the actual company, and that was another thing. I looked at the email addresses, and that guy's stuff came from Outlook, and the other email address was companyname@gmail.com. So I emailed the actual company, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a scam. And I attached screenshots of the different messages and the offer letter and stuff in like a PDF document. And they responded back. They're like, yeah, that's a scam. And I'm like, okay. And then the next day I got another offer of a job from somebody that's on my resume on Indeed again. And I looked at the email address, and it was, this weird store name, like this weird company name at .store. And I was like, what's .store? I've never seen that. I've seen .com, .org, .net, but, or like .ca for Canada, but .store. I was like, that's kind of weird. And I went to the company's website, and I emailed them as well. And I got a response the next day, and they're like, we're looking into this, but we're not sure what's going on. And then I got another response yesterday, and they're like, I forwarded this to somebody else. I'm like, it's okay. I'm pretty sure it's a scam at this point, because the day after I got that, I got 3 more emails at a different email address talking about they saw my resume on Indeed. And 2 of them had the same subject line, except for the name of the company in parentheses. And I was kind of just glancing. Look, when I saw the first one, I didn't really pay attention to the subject line. I'm like, oh, job, let me see. And then I went to the second one, and I was like, oh, the subject is the same. That's a little weird. And the bodies of those 2 emails were different, but the signature was similar to the one from the day before. And while I was looking at those 2, another one came in that had a different subject line, but the email was exactly the same as the second one that I got, except for the company name. The body of the email was the same. And I was like, oh, these are all scams. And they all came from Indeed. So I messaged Indeed, and I was like, I know you can't really control this that much, but here's some of the scams that I've been getting, just to let them know what's going on. Because I'm like, this isn't where I'm clicking on and applying for an actual job. They're messaging me personally because they saw my info on your site. And I know they can't really do a whole lot about that, but I still wanted them to know, because it's like, I don't have any money to be spending on these places. Like, how are you going to try and scam somebody looking for a job? They don't have money, and then you're going to take the little money that they have, or they go into debt thinking that they're going to get a job, and you're like, oh, I'm going to get this job. I need this computer, and they're going to reimburse me. And they spend $5,000 on all this equipment, and then you take their stuff. It's like, how do you not feel bad about that? That person doesn't have a job, and then on top of that, you're making them spend money they don't have. That's just evil. So I've been really, not depressed, but like disappointed at when I've been applying for jobs. Like some of them I'll just get a message back saying they want it with somebody, they're moving forward with somebody else, and it's like, ugh. But I do have an interview tomorrow, which I'm hopeful about, and it's she said she's going to call me, but I did look her up. I found her on LinkedIn. It's a real email address. I stalked a little bit because I was like, it's a real company and everything. And so I'm feeling a little better about that. But if she says anything about me buying stuff and being reimbursed, I'm like, I'm going to like yell at her on the phone. So hopefully she is legit, because it so far it looks like it is. But yeah, the job market is... it's depressing. And Patrick had a interview the other day with a game company in LA, and there's two that are down there that are really close to each other, and I was like, we're not moving to LA. And he's like, well, I really like this area because it's near Santa Monica. Both of the locations are near Santa Monica, but one of them, he's definitely, I don't want to say the names of either of these companies, but one of them have been trying to get him to work for them for years. The other one, he knows a lot of people who work there and they hated working there. So he's like, I'm not even going to bother. And I think once in a while they will message him and be like, hey, you want to work for us? Because he's so experienced. And he's just like, he doesn't even answer them. But the other one, he's like, well, I'll talk to them and see what their offer is. And I was just like, why would we move to LA? First, half of it just burned down. They're having a housing crisis because of that. Second, a normal size house, like a regular house that, like the one that we lived in Northern California, is $1.5 million. We can't afford that. And he's like, well, if we were to move down there, he's like, I would tell them you need to pay me so I can purchase a comparable house to what we have here. And so I went online and I was looking and I was like, okay, so what we have here down in LA is going for like $2.5 to $3 million. And he's like, yeah, so they would have to pay me enough to be able to afford that. And I was just like, okay, so how much would that be? And it was between $600,000 to $800,000. I'm like, they're not gonna pay you that. I was like, nobody's gonna pay you almost $1 million a year. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I think you're worth it, but I doubt they're gonna be paying you that. And yeah, so I don't think we're gonna be moving to LA. I like California, the weather is great, but the traffic and the expense, like, it's just too much. Yeah, the weather kind of sucks here during summer, but at least we can afford a house here. So I doubt we're going to be moving back to California, but that was a discussion that we had. It was really funny. So things have been going well, though. Everything is, even though I've been having issues with trying to find a job and stuff, everything is moving along well. And on Friday, we do have an appointment for Nicola with the school district to see if he's going to be able to go to their autism program or if he's going to the Atlanta Autism Center. I'm a little annoyed with the Atlanta Autism Center because I told them we have an appointment on the 21st and we will decide if he's going to go to the school district or if he's going to start with the Autism Center. And they already messaged me like a week ago saying, okay, we're going to start him on the following Monday. I'm like, we didn't say that we want him to start yet. And they ran his insurance and everything. And they're like, well, you get a 2-week grace period from the time the insurance starts. The insurance is approved. And I'm just like, but we didn't say yes yet. Like, we want him, like originally when we went down there, it's like, yeah, we like this. We want him to go here because he'll get the attention that he needs to learn how to cope with what he's going through. But at the same time, we still have to talk to the school district. The school district did send me like, I forgot what it said. It's like a proof copy, or it's not the official document, but it's what they've assessed so far. And once we actually go down there and talk to them, we'll find out if he's going to be able to get in. But from what I read, what they sent me, it kind of sounds like they're going to take him. So we kind of want to put him into the school district rather than going to the autism center, only because our insurance is going to expire in a couple months unless one of us gets a job with insurance. And we might not be able to afford to keep sending him to the autism center if we don't have insurance. And we don't know if that's going to happen. His severance isn't going to last forever because you know, it's only supposed to be for a few months. It's not like, oh, we'll pay you for a whole year and you have a whole year to find a job. It's not like that. And then I'm not working at the moment. So it's like, we don't know if we're going to be able to afford that. And we don't want to pull him out and just disrupt him so much. So if he goes to the school district, that shouldn't cost us anything. And it's like that. We won't have to like pull him out and put him somewhere else or send him back to daycare because we can't afford it. So we don't want to bounce him around so much because kids do like consistency, and he's happy where he's at right now, but at the same time we do need him to get the skills that he needs. And it's just something that's kind of the stressful thing that we have going on right now. And I don't even know what to say. Like, I didn't answer the autism center because I was like, I already told you guys twice on the phone and once through email, we want to talk to the school district first. So I sent it to my husband. I'm like, you need to call them and talk to them, because I'm like, I can usually be polite, but every once in a while the Karen in me comes out, and when I've told somebody something several times, I start getting annoyed, and I kind of feel like I'll just yell at them because I'm just like, you guys not paying attention. And they're nice. Like, when we were there, they're very polite people, so I don't like yell at somebody who's being polite to me. But I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like, are you kidding me? Like, listen. Like, do you not understand what I'm telling you? So it's just a fight that I don't feel like having. But things are going better, and yeah, so I'm thinking for my next video, if it's not an update about what happened this week and what's going on with Nicola, I've been kind of thinking, I have a bunch of Coach purses. I have kind of a small collection, and I like watching videos where people talk about their purses and stuff and like what they like about them. I'm not a purse channel, and I don't have like Louis Vuitton or Chanel or Hermes or whatever. I actually think like the Birkin and the Kelly are kind of ugly. They look like something my grandma would have carried in the 60s. I don't think they're nice. I know they're a status symbol, but it's not something that I care about. I'm just like, eh. Yeah, so I was thinking to do a video on that, and so that might be my next video, because I want to do something fun. I've just been kind of like, like, oh, my husband has cancer, got laid off from his job, things suck. It's like, I want to do something a little happier. And when I first started my channel, I was doing fun videos every once in a while as well. It wasn't just life bullshit, or BS, I should say. Life stuff. It was like kind of a mixture of things. And I don't want to be like an influencer that's like, buy this junk, because I did a couple of videos, and I just don't want to like encourage people to buy things they don't need. I talked about things that I like, but I'm not like, oh, here's the newest blah, blah, blah. Like, this is my phone. Look at this case. Isn't it so cute? You should run to Amazon and buy it because it's so cute. It's like, get what you want for a case. So I will probably be back next week when I have a chance, and might be just an update on what's going on with Nicola and my husband, or it might be the purse video. We'll see what happens. So hope you guys are all having a good week, and he's so loud. I will see you soon. Bye.